Building a value ramp with Prismacolor, more than anything else, is an exercise in patience. In this exercise, what you are practicing is you are practicing discipline and control. This is a simple value ramp from light to dark. What you want to do is you want to really practice taking your time. Most of the value transition is going to be built by using the edge of the pencil. By using the edge of the pencil, you can cover more area, and you can cover more area rapidly. That's important so that you remember later when you're getting ready to render value on, the side of a vehicle, the side of a building, anything that has a large plane where you have value transitions. You could potentially do it with the tip of your pencil, but you have to just be aware that using the tip of your pencil exclusively to render your value transitions just means that it takes more time. It's not the wrong way to do it. For the most part, there is no specifically right or wrong way. There's just different methods and approaches. Again, you always start by sharpening your pencil to make sure that you have enough material to work with, and then you begin building. It's very important that you become comfortable with utilizing your arm to do this, partly because you can make really long strokes, similar to when we practiced lines. Practicing lines is really practicing making really long strokes. It's also useful to get comfortable with turning your pad if you need to, but for the most part this all moves in one direction, so it's pretty quick and efficient to really move your arm back and forth. And then as you get into the lighter areas, apply less pressure, and then when you get into the darker areas, you apply more pressure. You are not grinding into your paper though. That is really important. This sounds a little geeky, but we do want to respect the tooth, the surface of our paper, and we're just progressively building up the value, and we're letting the little pockets of material, the little bits of material kind of sit in the pockets of the paper. And then we just keep layering and going back over to build up more value. Once we get to the point where we feel like we've exhausted using the side of the pencil, then eventually we can turn to the tip of the pencil and really start to build transition. But again, the important part is even here, even though this value is getting much darker, we are not grinding our pencil into the paper. Number one, we don't want to do that because we're then going to be grinding through multiple layers of paper. So every time we draw that, the marks from the previous drawing is going to be evident in our next drawing. But we also don't want to destroy the surface to the point that the material will no longer sit in it. So the more that we grind the paper, like we use our pencil to grind the paper and draw excessively hard, the more that we're really beating up the surface. If we just switch between the side of our pencil and the top of our pencil, and then we just slowly, progressively build up the value, to a certain degree, this can be a somewhat mindless activity, meaning that once you get the muscle memory down, it's just a matter of layering and building the transitions and moving your arm back and forth, and then just checking to see if the transition is as smooth as you believe it should be. This is roughly going from really dark to really light. There's a large section in here towards the light side that may be a little bit lighter than it really needs to be. It probably could be a little bit, have a little bit more value range. But the range from dark to light is really clear, it's really stark, and there's a very strong contrast. Eventually you can see here where I start to switch to a more small circular textural buildup, because it started to look at the paper and see that it wasn't receiving the material that I wanted, and I didn't want to be too aggressive with the surface. So I thought, hey, it might be a little bit more beneficial to switch it up a little bit and build the transitions with something that's a little bit more circular to get some value going. So that's the basics.